Oh, hey. How are you today? I hope you're having a lovely one wherever you are. Don't mind, I'm being weird. As usual, if you're new here, hey, what's up? My name is Liz, and this is Korean Crime Time, where I am your host, and I sit down and talk about a true crime case, and sometimes I will create something at the same time. If you're interested and you want to support this channel, hit that red button wherever it is. I'm going to keep awkwardly pointing at the bottom of the screen because I don't know where the button is. And also, if you want to continue the support, like, turn your bell notification on to all that way you know when I upload. And by the way, this is the 25 Days of True Crime. I hope you guys have enjoyed the cases I've covered. I know a lot of people seem to really like my unsolved cases. I do have a few solved cases, but the last portion of the 25 Days of True Crime is going to be all unsolved cases, and I really hope you guys enjoy the cases that I've picked, because one of them I love. Actually, it spans over 3 days, but anywho, I'm jumping the gun. So, did you know that there's multiple different Lonely Hearts killers? Did you know that? Did you? Okay, because we're going to be talking about them today. Yeah, we're going to be talking about the first one. His name is Harry Powers. You know, he's got some pretty eyes. When I first saw his mugshot, I was like, whoa, pretty eyes. And then I saw a picture of him when he was older. I was like, ooh, jeez. Anywho. Whoa. He also went by a few different names. John Schroeder, Joseph Gildo, Cornelius Pearson, and A.R. Weaver. I mean, it's good that you have different pseudonyms, but geez. That's quite the array of names. Now, he is an immigrant that came to the United States in the early 1900s. So this is more of a vintage case, which I know people do like too. So if you like the vintage cases, keep on watching. Yeah. So his actual birth name is Harm Drenth, not Harry Powers. Harm is short for Harmon. So don't mind the set of paper. Yeah. So Harm Drenth was born in 1893 in Breda, which is in the Netherlands. He then would immigrate with his parents, Wilco Drenth and Jeanje Wolcher. Hopefully I pronounced that right. It's a very pretty looking name. A lot of J's. But they would come to the United States in 1910, and this is when they would eventually live in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. His family, like the rest of the family, came to the U.S. in 1911. Eventually, Harm would move to West Virginia in 1926. So in 1927, he would marry for the first time. He married a woman named Luella Strother. She was the owner of a farm and a grocery store. And this was after he responded to a Lonely Hearts ad. If you don't know what a Lonely Hearts ad is, basically it's a, I'm lonely, I want somebody, I'm going to put it in the newspaper at the time, basically, like a wanting ad. Or like people did it on Craigslist or different Tinder, Grindr, whatever you want. Basically, it's a Lonely Hearts ad. If you think about it, it's basically a Lonely Hearts ad. It's just, now it's more digital. So, that's how they would meet. Yeah. So, now that they were married, even though that they were married, Harm would still put more Lonely Hearts ads out. Many women would respond to his ads. The postal records that were pulled showed that he had about a rate of 10 to 20 letters per day coming in. Like, he was super popular when it came to his Lonely Hearts ads. So whatever he was writing about, damn, he was good. So Harm would then construct a garage and a basement at his home in Quiet Dell, and the garage was later discovered to be the scene of the murders, of which he would be convicted of, like, future-wise. So, obviously now you know he's a murderer. So after his 1931 arrest, police investigated using fingerprints and photographs, and this revealed that he had already been incarcerated for burglary under his birth name in Barron County, Wisconsin, and this was from 1921 to 1922. Although there's another case that he is involved in, like suspected involvement in, although he wasn't charged. He was involved in the 1928 disappearance of Dudley Wade, who was a carpet sweeper salesman, with whom Harm once worked, and he's also a suspect in an unsolved murder of Jane Doe in Morris, Illinois. So, obviously, after his arrest in Wisconsin, this is when he starts using Harry Powers and his other pseudonyms. So remember that Harm is his birth name, but he would go by Harry. So while he was actually using another alias, Cornelius Pierson, now it's Cornelius Orvin Pierson. How wonderful. So he would begin writing letters to a widow, and her name is Asta Aker, and she was a widowed mother of 3. She was living in Park Ridge, Illinois. So eventually Harry would go out and he would visit her and her children, Greta, Harry, and Annabelle. And this was on the 23rd of June of 1931. And he soon left with Asta, like, for several days. Yeah, so the person that would care for her children, her name is Elizabeth Abernathy. She received a letter saying that Pierson was going to come and pick up her children to join Cornelius and Asta. When Cornelius arrived, he sent a child to the bank to withdraw all of her money from her account, and what happened is that her child returned empty-handed, and because the signature on the check was forged, so he couldn't get the money. Powers then took the children and they hastily departed. He told neighbors that were concerned about the disappearances that they were on a trip in Europe. Sometime later, Harry courted a woman named Dorothy Pressler Lemke from Northborough, Massachusetts. Oh, fancy. Who was also looking for love in the Lonely Hearts ads. He then brought her back to Iowa and married her, persuaded her to withdraw $4,000 from her bank account. So Dorothy did not notice that instead of sending her trunks to Iowa, where Harry claimed to be living, he sent them to an address under the name of Cornelius Pierson of Fairmont, West Virginia. Asta Aker, her children, and Dorothy Lemke had disappeared with no explanation. Like, nobody had seen them. Nope. So in August of 1931, police began investigating the disappearance of Asta and her children, beginning with Pierson, who was discovered emptying Asta's house. They found love letters, which led them to Quiet Dell, where Pierson lived under the name Harry Powers with his wife. Powers was arrested, and his house in Quiet Dell was searched, and police would then find the crime scene. Man. Yeah, police would find the crime scene in 4 rooms located underneath the garage. Bloody clothing, hair, and a burned bank book, and a small bloody footprint of a child were discovered. So people around town began to arrive at the scene to watch the investigation unravel. A 15-year-old informed the sheriff that he'd recently helped Powers dig a ditch on his property. So that ditch was freshly filled, And when they dug it up, they discovered the bodies of Asta, her children, and Dorothy. Evidence in autopsy results showed that the two girls and their mother were strangled to death while the boy was beaten with a hammer. Oh, Dorothy was the last victim uncovered. She had been strangled and the belt was still wrapped around her neck. Love letters were found in the trunk of Harry's automobile. He had written back to many women with the intention of stealing their money and killing them, just as he did with his most recent victims. So he's such a, for a man that likes to write Lonely Hearts ad, what a dick. I'm gonna make you fall in love with me. I want your money. Goodbye. What an asshole. What an asshole. Like, would you do that? Would you do that? I don't think you would. You're probably nice people that watch this. That just like to listen. You just like to listen to fucked up people or about fucked up people. I digress. Anywho, so following his arrest, Harry received 2 black eyes and bruising, allegedly from falling down the stairs during his questioning. So it was known during that time that police were pretty brutal when it came to actually questioning their suspects. They were pretty brutal. On September 20th, 1931, a lynch mob attempted to take Harry from the jail, but they would be dispersed by tear gas and fire hoses. Harry would then be taken from West Virginia, would be taken from the jail he was in to the state penitentiary in Moundsville. During his 5-day trial that was held at the local opera house, I think that's so cute, not in a courthouse, in the opera house. Now, this happened because of the large number of spectators that were involved. Numerous witnesses testified to evidence in Harry's house, that he had been seen with the victims, picked up their luggage, and the whole spiel. So Harry would testify himself as well, but the 12th of December 1931, he was sentenced to death. And then his death penalty would be fulfilled on the 18th of March of 1932. His execution was hanging. Yeah, so that is we can't even really call him like the Lonely Hearts Killer. I mean, we can because he did the ads. I mean, he's listed as one of the Lonely Hearts Killers, but he's kind of like, I don't even know. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's tale of Harry Powers, or Harm, whatever you want to call him, whatever name you want to use for him. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next video for the 25 Days of True Crime. Bye!